The Let Me Be Frank podcast is proudly sponsored by Glenwood. Glenwood are the UK's leading construction industry debt recovery agency.
Remember, no win, no fee with Glenwood Debt Recovery.
Find out more at glenwoodconstruction.co.uk. And we are back again with another episode of the Let Me Be Frank podcast with myself, Simon Houston, my co-pilot Frank McAvennie.
How you doing?
You can probably tell it's a Zoom interview today because we're sitting looking like a couple of pilots. You're going to be flying us to our destination.
Conscious.
Aye, it's holiday period, so
Yes.
so this will probably be going out when I'm away. When are you going away again?
I'm not going to wait till the end of July, so we're all right.
Aye, I'll be on the beach at the moment. I'll be on the beach looking at this, hopefully.
Yeah, good.
But Mallorca next
Good.
week. Anyway, enough about that.
Make look good.
Aye.
Go on then.
I'm going to introduce a guest, and it's an absolute delight to have this gentleman on because for Celtic supporters, that period that we often refer to between 1989 and 1995, when not so much as a trophy, a League Cup or anything was won completely, probably one of the most unsuccessful periods in Celtic's post-war history. In the middle of that period, in season 92-93, came a Yorkshireman to play up front for Celtic, and his name was Andy Payton, and he joins us. And Andy, I was chatting to just with Frank just before we started recording, and I described as a bit of a shining light in a dark period for Celtic because he scored 15 goals, Andy, in a season, and that was that team. Well, I know Frank came along.
It wasn't bad, was it? Welcome, Andy. Thanks for coming on, sir.
Oh, thanks, Frank. Yeah, good to be here, mate. Great to speak to you again, pal.
Yeah, it was when I came back to Celtic, you were there, and as we've already discussed, it was a bit dire, but we had some fun. We got some goals together. And,
yeah, we did. I mean, it was great.
On.
Someone like me who started at Hull City in the Championship, you know, to get to play alongside you, Frank, was
thanks, mate.
Was amazing, mate. It was, you know, and there's a couple of games, one in particular, what I'll mention to you in a bit. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm actually from Lancashire, not Yorkshire. I've just got to say.
Apologies.
Apologies, right? That's disgraceful.
No,
that's a bad one because I know there's a bit of rivalry there.
I've got to get the Burnley one in. But yeah, for me to play for Celtic was still amazing. It's still amazing for me. Because the majority of my goals were in the Championship. I think I scored about 160 in the Championship. Mm-hmm. I got the opportunity to go to the Premiership with Middlesbrough, but Celtic came in for me. And when I went up there, you're not turning Celtic down. No. It's a fantastic club, you know.
Don't realise, do you, until you walk in that door, how big a club it is. People
Absolutely, yeah. And the support and just... I mean, you know, the staff that were working there at the time, the players that were there at the time. I mean, you know, can I name a few of the players?
Please, that would be brilliant. I
mean, like in today's terms, what are you talking? So you're looking at Packy Bonner, Darius Dubček, Tom Boyd, Rudy Vata, Gary Gillespie, Tony Mowbray, Mike Galloway, Joe Miller, Peter Grant, Paul Byrne, Paul McStay, John Collins, Jerry Creaney, Stuart Slater, Tommy Coyne, Frank McAvennie, myself, Simon Donnelly coming through, Shea Gibbon, Brian O'Neill, Steve Fulton.
Wow.
Some valuation there. I mean,
it was not a bad team.
We obviously underachieved.
Yeah.
We underachieved.
Was it Liam that signed you? Who signed you?
Liam Brady.
Was it Liam Brady?
Liam Brady, yeah. He signed me, Stuart Slater and Rudy on the same day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I remember because I stayed in the hotel with Rudy and my Albanian's not very good, and he didn't understand my Burnley accent, you know what I mean? So we just sat there staring at each other.
Then with this, do you stay in touch with any of that squad?
It's funny, like honestly, it's like being at school. You know, when you leave school, you don't really, now and again, but not really, no, I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I keep in touch with Rudy and I keep bumping into Rudy. He's a good lad. Yeah. He's a good lad.
You had some fun with Rudy. You had some fun. Very first game, wow, yeah.
His boy was doing very well with Celtic and was capped by the Republic of Ireland as well. Rocco. But
he went to Watford, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So when you came up the road, Lancashire, not Yorkshire. Let's get that absolutely. That's your fault, Frank. I'm going to blame you.
I come from Hull though, so and then Middlesbrough via, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But tell me this. So at that point, when you were coming up to play for Celtic, what did Celtic kind of mean to you at that point? Did you know an awful lot about them? Obviously, everyone knows the name. Yeah. Everyone knows the name of the club. But had you had much of an idea of what you were getting into?
Not really till I got up there. My agent at the time was Eddie Gray, and his lad Stuart was at Celtic as well. God rest his soul. Obviously, Stuart's passed on it. But I'd not really. I knew that Celtic was big, but obviously with, from being down south and that, when you come up, you realise just how big it is.
I didn't know Eddie done the agency work there, yeah. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Eddie was great.
Yeah. That's as famous a footballing family as you're going to get.
It's royalty.
Archie as well.
Football royalty, that's
they really
what I call
are. And Archie's got a bit of a soft spot for Celtic as well. If he might end up wearing the hoops at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Be nice.
It would be nice. It might cost a couple of quid.
Aye. It might cost a few quid, yeah. I don't think we'll pay that, but maybe.
But so you became a bit of a cult hero with the Celtic support, and you scored a decent amount of goals in that time. Halfway through your time, this gentleman comes up and joins you. So what are your recollections of playing alongside Frank McAvennie in the hoop?
Well, it was amazing to begin with, because I'd watched Frank, at West Ham, and his partnership with Tony Cottee, and just how good he was, international, played in World Cups and what have you. I mean, for me, I'll be honest with you, it took me a while because I was overawed to begin with, because the dressing room, I think every single player, apart from myself, was an international, and it was, I had to get to terms with the fact that, they get with the programme and show that you're maybe good enough to get in the team, or you'll... probably a lot of strikers similar to myself might have, over the years, signed for Celtic and not really done anything, and then just left, So I wanted to make a mark, and, the first thing was getting in the team, and, Liam Brady put me straight in, which was amazing, really. Charlie Nick was on the bench, at Dundee United at home, and we won 2-0. I didn't score, but we beat Dundee 1-0 in the next game at home, and I did score. Couldn't miss it with a tap-in, but I think it just got me up and running, And like I say, for me, I was a young lad, and when you got people like Frank McAvennie, showing you the ropes, you're going to learn. We had, one of the coaches at the time was Bobby Lennox.
Yeah.
Bobby's won a European Cup, and he's teaching me how to stick ball it back in net, So it was just a fantastic time, fantastic club, But I always look back on my time at Celtic with pride,
Yeah. So you mentioned Charlie Nicholas.
We came second to Rangers, didn't we?
Yeah.
But we beat them twice that season.
You scored as well. So you scored.
They weren't a bad team.
You scored against Rangers at Celtic Park.
I did, yeah. I remember that game on for three things really. That game, one, I should have had a Stonewall penalty. John Brown took my legs, and referee never give it. What was he called? Little Dougie, someone I think he was.
Dougie Hope,
that was it.
That's the one.
And you know what happened? You know what happened when John Collins scored? We've all ran to the jungle. There's 9 of us, and he let Rangers kick off. I've never seen it in my career, in all 20 odd years of my career. He allowed them to kick off. I think Tom Boyd got back and cleared it. Couldn't believe it. And also, I got 7 stitches in my head.
You see, that's happened a couple of times.
Off, got it stitched, and went back on.
Aye, there's been incidents similar to that over the years. There's a couple of John Gregg, I think, scored the goal in the 70s or similar situation. The Celtic were protesting against something.
The famous one with that, Andy, was big Terry Butcher. Remember him at England?
Yeah.
And he had the blood and all that in his face. And I used to wind him up. I used to tell him, go and put a bandage on. Nobody gives a fuck up here. And he didn't like that quote, so he used to try and kick his shit out of me. But
I remember that picture. Yeah, World Cup one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But so I remember that game for a few things,
Aye.
But it was brilliant to win, and also back then, I think there were 30,000 Rangers fans in the ground as well.
Big. Yeah, they probably.
Pressure was on.
Yeah. So, what do you remember about the noise when that ball hit the net? I
remember Tony Mowbray. He'd I think he'd said it was a wall of sound. And I didn't know what he meant, obviously. And when I walked out, it sort of hits you when you get on the pitch, because you've got your 30,000 Rangers fans down there and obviously your 30,000 Celtic fans. Yeah. And it's the only game I've played in where you can't hear your teammates' voice, obviously. You know, everything's in, because you can just hear the crowd. It's mental.
Yeah. Wow.
It's one of the games that you can boast to your grandkids and that, say you were in it, because it's a game that it's like no other. There is nothing like it. It is.
You've got to experience it, and you know,
nothing like
everybody's just kicking lumps out of each other. It's not like today's football. I mean, it's hard to watch at times. Back then, people were just doing each other all over.
I don't watch a lot of games. You know, there's no tackling now, mate. There's
no contact in it.
No contact sport, and the keeper, the wingers don't cross it. The keeper doesn't kick it out.
I know. It's incredible.
We'd be all right. We wouldn't be head or nothing.
I'll tell you what, if I'd have dived in training, I think Mick Galloway would have kicked me in the head and said, "Get up," you know, and I'd have probably deserved it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when I watch him doing that nowadays, it's so hard to watch.
I keep saying that. We, as professionals, we be like, "What are you doing? Get up! You're embarrassing us."
Yeah, it's showing yourself.
You're embarrassing us.
They don't care.
In a minute or two, we're going to ask you about any nights out you might have had with Frank, right? So I'll let you think about that one for a second. But who would so I'm wondering who the squad strikers would have been at that point. Charlie Nicholas, you mentioned. Jerry Craney would have been around at that point too.
Jerry was unbelievable. I think he was younger than me. I think he was only 20 at the time. I thought he was outstanding.
Good talent.
But at that age, you know, to be so cool and a clinical finisher. Good lad as well. We also had Tommy Coyne with Frank and Charlie. But yeah, Jerry, I thought Jerry was superb.
You know, just you saying that, and you think about it, Frank, that Celtic team winning nothing. Charlie Nicholas, Frank McAvennie, Jerry Craney, Tommy Coyne, Andy Payton.
And good strikers,
obviously they're up against the Rangers team that were spending a lot more money.
A
hell of a lot of money at that point.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, Trevor Stephen, who was at Burnley, he was in that team. Yeah. Obviously, Gough, Lee McCoy, Brown. They're a good side, but we did beat them twice. We beat them at their place as well, I remember. But we just weren't consistent enough in certain games. You know, I'm gutted that we didn't. You know, that didn't win anything. You know,
when not winning against the smaller teams let us down. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, we had. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course.
So on to happier subjects. Someone must have said to you at some point, right? Frank McAvennie's coming up the road, so fasten your seatbelt.
Probably Liam. It says that.
Yeah. Was it? Did you enjoy a few evenings in Frank's company around about Glasgow?
I think a couple.
Yeah.
Not many, but a couple.
No,
yeah,
we had a few drinks. Good.
You know, yeah. I mean, I'm teetotal. I've been teetotal for years, but back then, obviously, we had a few. I actually, little confession to make to you, Frank. Liam Brady pulled me one day and said, "Don't be going out with Frank." Honestly, and I went, "All right, yeah, no." He got me and somebody else in. I think Stuart Slater, because they were youngish lads.
Yeah,
and I think he was Stuart. Was he Stuart's agent?
He was Stuart's agent, yeah. But
yes, he was looking after him, and he got us in and said, "Don't be going out with Frank on Wednesday nights."
Well, do you know what he said to me? Liam said to me, "Going to keep an eye on Chopper. We call him Chopper."
Yeah,
Slater. And I says, "Why?" He says he's going out, and I says, "Chopper doesn't drink." He says he does now, and he was arguing with all the doormen in Glasgow.
Oh, right,
and Liam said to me, "Look, have a word with him." And I'm saying, "Chop, what's the matter with you?" He's going, "Oh, sorry." He says, "You were arguing with a doorman the other night." And he was drunk, and he was saying he's going to get the ICF up to him and all that.
Really?
And I'm going,
really?
ICF. Yeah, I'm going, really? And he's like, I says, "You can't be saying that up here."
Aye.
So that was Chopper for you.
Yeah, he was some talent, weren't he?
Yeah, I told him not to get married as well. I said she'll take everything, and he did.
He could keep the ball up 10,000 times.
I always thought he was a really tidy player. Stuart Slater.
Was a good player. It was great at West Ham, but he just didn't do it.
I just remember his stats though. I remember hadn't he scored a goal for in 50 games or something, and the Celtic support were like,
The press got hold of it and they made it into a really big thing. And I think that was the pressure around it for him, you know.
Aye.
Remember the Arbroath game? In the cup? We won 9-0.
Oh, we won.
Was it 9-1?
9-1, yeah. We got. I can't remember. When did you get?
Well, I got 3.
When did I get?
You got 3 as well. So I was hoping, obviously, to get the match ball, which would have been amazing. But you scored the first hat-trick, didn't you? So you got the match ball. But you know, after the game, you know what they told me, which I couldn't believe, and it's true, that I was the first Celtic player in history to come on at half-time and get a hat-trick.
Brilliant.
And I thought, no way. I thought that can't be true. It's true, true.
Yeah, good.
Oh, that's brilliant. Listen, that's a
I don't know what I've done with it.
That's a great.
You got that many, yeah.
No. I've had a couple of wives and ex-wives, and they've got everything.
Aye. So Andy, there was a previous episode. He was telling everybody how he managed to get Johan Cruyff's top after a match when he was playing St Mirren against Feyenoord.
I did. Yeah, I've not got that.
He's not got it anymore because as he was leaving.
Well, who was the lad who got Maradona's and got 7 million?
The boy. I played with Tottenham in England, didn't he?
Forrest, what's his name?
Hodge.
That's the one, yeah.
7.5 million.
7 million. Wow, 7.5 million.
Cruyff would have been worth, because it was his last jersey.
Aye.
It was a Feyenoord jersey,
But the problem was Frank had to leave his house in a bit of a hurry, shall we say? With knives and plates and mugs getting thrown at him.
Everything's getting flung at you. You can't say, can I get that jersey?
He should have turned around and said, right, I understand, I might not have behaved brilliantly, but can I have my Cruyff top, please?
Yeah.
Oh, dear, but
I know.
Yeah, so for a lot of Celtic supporters, that's a painful period in the club's history. But at the same time, a lot of the modern support, a lot of the young guys who support Celtic at the moment, who have only ever known success after success after success, quadruple trebles, treble, trophies, cups, leagues, and there's this kind of, they're always accused of entitlement. The first time they didn't win a trophy after that quadruple treble, you would have thought, all hell broke loose. And people of a certain age are saying to them, you should have been around between 1989 and 1995.
I know. And it's probably true, isn't it?
We had an outburst. We had an outcry of strikers at Celtic. We had loads of strikers that could score goals, but can you? I don't know any player in that team that would score a lot of goals. In today's team, they don't cross it. They don't.
I know.
I always relied on the balls getting whipped across the box. I was good in the air. Andy was good in the air. They don't do that now. It's all passing and tap-ins and
Yeah, the game has massively changed, and
it's changed.
Now you look at the top scorers throughout all the divisions, and I mean, Championship top scorer this season, I think, got 19. Back in the day, they'd have been like 29, 28, most clubs,
Yeah.
The game, it's changed massively, hasn't it? But I mean, one thing that I will say, and I've always said this because it's so true, it was a privilege for me to play for Celtic, because if you look at some of the strikers that they've had, likes of Frank, likes of Charlie Nicholas, Henrik Larsson, I mean, come on. Yeah. So I know exactly where my place is, obviously, because I'm nowhere near as good as those players, obviously. But just the fact that I went up there and managed to get a few goals is something that I'll treasure. Do you know what I mean?
When I come out, I enjoyed playing up front with you. We had a good laugh, and it's... As I kept saying to you, even when we're playing, it's about entertaining. You can't be too serious. You can't be too serious in a game. You've got to take it serious, obviously, but you've got to enjoy yourself. You play football because you love the game. That's what I did. I loved the game, and that's why I played football. And that transformed onto the crowd,
Well, let me tell you this, Andy. When you put something on Facebook the other day to say that you were going to come on the podcast and how proud you were to be joining Frank. And there was a lot of love and a lot of affection for you from the Celtic supporters when they saw that, and I think that remains the case.
Well, for that.
How's life with you now? I know you've had your battles, your health battles. In fact, you've been very frank as well about how life was for you, and you stopped playing. You struggled a wee bit in various ways, and then you kind of turned things around. But how are you at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I'll be honest with you. So when you come out of football, Frank will tell you, any footballer, after a long, long time, you feel as though you've not much purpose in life, whatever. And yeah, I had a few years of probably eating the bottle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not enjoying life, not really wanting to be here after football. It was strange.
Yeah.
But I turned it all around. I mean, I stopped. Just decided one day, that's it. I've had enough. Stopped. I went through my coaching badges. I did my air license. And made a life again for myself.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of footballers, when you've had the big highs and you've done that and always been known as a footballer, people change towards you. It's a big life change. I think clubs, they're doing it now where they look after the players a lot more than what sort of happened back then. It was just a case of, right, see you later. And something that you've done every day for 20 odd years, you're not doing anymore. And I find that hard, but I mean, I got through it obviously, and here I am now. And the thing, what's happened recently, obviously with the brain scans and what have you. Listen, we don't know. My brother died of an heart attack at 52. Yeah. God bless him. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, do we? So.
Some of the Celtic supporters watching this might not know what's happened fairly recently, but there was a diagnosis of early onset dementia, which must have come as quite a blow.
Well, I mean, what they did the brain scan, and then out of the 60 tracks or whatever, where it shows, the brain, 27 were damaged. But it's for me, it's a workplace injury, and Frank, I think if Frank went, it'd have very similar results because we pounded it on it's not on a game. We're talking Monday mornings when it's chucking down in training and you're doing 2 hours of finishing and you're going bang, bang, So I just, I think that they more or less proved that that's where it's come from for all footballers. I think it's 5 more times likely, etc. But I'm just hoping it's a slow burner. And because I'm very positive about everything. And just hope, everything's all right,
Well, you're just hoping that it doesn't kick in and you're fine, mate. I mean, it's one of them, you just hope for the best, really. There's nothing you can do about it, is there? Of
course you do.
Is it the kind of thing that maybe manifests itself in kind of short-term memory issues? Like maybe, I find I have to write things down all the time.
Well, I mean, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. I wrote these things down because I would have forgot. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not, it's factual, but it's not affecting me unbelievably at this moment in time. Just little things, but the headaches are the worst. Today's a good day. But, I mean, like I say, hopefully the players that have tested and, I'm going to say tested positive then, if you know what I mean. But hopefully they get sorted out because it can affect. If you've got dementia on a job interview, you're probably not going to get that job, are you?
No, well, it's a hard one because I was done a lot for to me. I'm an ambassador for Battle Against Dementia. And what I didn't realise, Andy, is there's nothing you can do. They don't treat. There's nothing you can treat it with.
No.
And, if you've got cancer, they can treat it. If you've got something else, if you've got a cold, they can treat it, but they can't treat dementia. And I'm thinking that can't be right. So I'm an ambassador for that, and it's and I'm quite happy to do it.
It's a condition which has deeply affected Celtic's history too. If you look, I mean, you get Billy O'Neill, Bertie Auld, Stevie Chalmers, the man who scored the most famous goal in Celtic's history. It's and I suppose it's been talked about a lot. A lot of very important people in the world of football are discussing it. Chris Sutton discusses it an awful lot.
Yeah.
We just don't know where it's going to go as far as the rules and regulations of football are concerned. But certainly heading the ball a lot less during training would be a good start.
I think in training it's 10 headers.
Yeah.
We'd be doing 100. We'd be doing 100.
We'd be doing 10 before we started training.
Of course you would. Yeah, exactly. But I'm in agreement with that a little bit. I mean, they've stopped heading it now anyway.
I know,
really, let's be honest. Like they've stopped tackling. I mean, if you're a tough tackling midfielder now, you've no chance. 2 tackles, you're off. And that's a fact. So, I mean, I think they could do away with heading. But I think what's happened, just briefly going back to the other thing, there's a new breed now of, I'm not in a care home. Do you understand? Yes. I'm not 75.
Yeah.
I'm 57, and I've ended up with it. And I think, and it's only been caused by one thing, and that's by heading the ball regular and, you know, on too often, really.
Yeah.
You know, too often. And I feel as though that, you know, we're not making it up. It's a fact. And it affects our daily lives and that, but, you know.
We didn't know about it. I mean, we were out before training. And I would fire the ball into the box, Andy would finish it.
Yeah.
On our headers just before training starts. I mean, I wasn't joking when I said it was incredible. You didn't, if we'd done known,
with it, didn't you?
We didn't go on with it, you know.
I wonder too whether there's much, excuse me, in this argument that people who played and built in the Lisbon Lions era, the ball been heavier. You know,
it was heavy,
I don't know whether that's. I mean, and I've also heard some experts maybe trying to say that's not. It's as clear cut as you would think. It wasn't that much of a difference in weight.
Well, it's the thud.
But the balls now, though, I mean, some of them are super light. You know, I mean.
Well, let's be honest. If somebody's drilling a ball in, it's going 90 mile an hour, 100 mile an hour, and you're heading it, you don't quite get it right, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
So it's not just that. We knew that back in the day, the weight of those old, they were like medicine balls, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been awful.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, most of the managers I had, when they'd say to the wingers, "I want violence," you know, whip it, get it whipped in there, and that's what we wanted anyway, didn't we, Frank? You know.
Of course it is. I mean, I mean, Alan McCoy, you know, he famously says he wasn't the quickest in the world, but all he needed to do was beat the centre half over the yard, 1 yard, get in front of him, and that's, you know, the ball comes in the box and he beats him in the yard. That's all he has to do, and that's what we used to do. Don't do that now. There's none of that now.
Exactly.
That's the time of the show when we give a shout out to our very generous sponsors at Glenwood Debt Recovery, which, as you know by now, is a debt recovery firm which focuses on business-to-business debt recovery in mainly the construction industry. But go and look them up, follow them on LinkedIn, have a look at what they do. They do a wonderful job, very, very good following as well, and some of the testimonials among people who have used their services are really impressive. So thanks again to the guys for, you know, giving us a few quid to allow us to have this wonderful setup at Up Next Studios in Glasgow, which is probably the best studio in Scotland, if not the world.
Yeah, it's correct. If you do the work and you're not getting paid, then Glenwood are the people to go to, and they'll get it back for you, and they might get a bit more.
Well, they remove all the hassle, they remove all the stress, and, you know, we're all busy, we're all trying to do a job, and if you're wasting a lot of time chasing people who delay paying you or ignore invoices, you don't have time for that. That's what they do. That's what they specialise in, and they do it incredibly well. So that's it. So if you want to get in touch with them, their website is glenwoodconstruction.co.uk. Have a look. Go and look at some of the testimonials as well. It's easy to get in touch with them. And there's also a very important...
Yeah, don't forget. Tell them Frank sent you.
Do you get to many games, Andy? Are you still coaching? What's you up to at the moment?
Well, I've been working at the Burnley College for the last 10 years, doing the coaching. I actually took the girls this year.
Oh, I've seen that.
3 daughters, Olivia, Georgia and Lauren, but Georgia, the middle one, she plays for Bury. So, but I ended up doing the girls at college this year. We got to the national final. We were really lucky. We got beaten in the final. But, so I've been doing that, coaching, and enjoying it, you know. So, I mean, that's going to carry on. And I enjoy it now, you know. It takes time to adjust when you finish playing. Not all players want to coach. You know, I certainly didn't when I first stopped playing. But then as a few years went by, I thought, yeah, I'll have a go at this. And I get just as much pleasure now out of coaching than what we did as a player, because you've got to realise a point does come where you realise that it's over. You can't do it anymore.
You still do it. You still do it in the pitch, so you can still show them.
Yeah, you can show them. Yeah.
But as part of parcel with coaching, you've got to show them. And unfortunately, you can still go out there and drill a pass and tell them what you want, and actually show them rather than just tell them, which is a big difference.
Frank, in our day, probably all our coaches and managers were former players.
Yeah, of course they were.
Who would show us, bang, do this. Nowadays, these football academies are full of young kids that they don't even play football.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. As you say, we had Bobby Lennox running down the wing and firing the ball across. It was incredible, wasn't it? But just to watch him, he could still play. Incredible.
I mean, to have a European Cup winner
I know.
Lisbon Lion coaching. I mean, that another thing just blows your mind, doesn't it? Unbelievable.
Well, I had the captain of that side as my manager, Bully, and then I'd nearly mocking and all that in the kit room. It was just, but I still had Jimmy Johnston and Bertie Auld walking about. It was incredible. And that puts pressure on you in itself.
Oh, of course it does. Because you're always trying to.
But I love that.
You're never going to live in their shadow, obviously,
No.
but because of what they achieved, absolutely amazing. You know, I mean, first British team to win the European Cup. People down south, they don't realise down south. They don't realise.
No.
They'll say, "Oh, it's a crap league," but they don't realise. I mean, Celtic were the first club to win the European Cup, obviously, and a massive club, fantastic club.
I know, and I enjoyed every minute of the time working it.
Yeah,
It was great.
Same here.
Before we go on, I keep having to remind myself to tell the punters that are watching, subscribe, hit subscribe.
Hit the subscribe button.
It's free to do it. Follow us, do the usual thing.
It's all free.
We're,
don't get much for nothing in this world. But
very, very pleased at the numbers. Very pleased at the reaction. Very pleased at the reaction to our wee out and about the other day with you and Grimes at Hilton Park as well. That was great, and a lot of complimentary comments about your golf swing as well, Frank.
Thank you very much.
No, not from me. I think it's garbage, but some of the folk.
I knew that.
And also, I'm going to you get in touch, please. Drop us comments. Let us know that you're watching and tell us what you think. But blown away by the positive nature of a lot of the comments that we get. I'm thinking about people who played for Celtic and Middlesbrough too. I'm going to test you in a wee minute.
Nobody's the only one.
Well, there's a few.
Is it?
And we'll probably miss some of them out. So I'm thinking some of the Celtic historians that are watching, get in touch, leave in the comments. Who was your favourite Celtic player that also played for Middlesbrough? Obviously, Andy Payton's going to be right up there. But there was someone.
Charlie McGrew, did he play for Middlesbrough?
No, I don't think so.
Charlie McGrew go to Middlesbrough?
Derek White did, didn't he?
Derek White did.
Yeah, you got a kiss of these, my pal.
Derek White did. Scott McDonald did.
All right, okay.
But someone who played a South American superstar.
Oh, Vidic. Not Vidic, Viduka.
No,
he played.
He's Croatian. He
did play for
Middlesbrough.
He played at Middlesbrough.
The one I'm thinking about is Juninho.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't play for Celtic. He came up, but he never kicked his. He was hopeless.
Controversial. He played alongside.
What a player he was, but he never done it.
He played alongside Big Bad John. Played alongside John Hartson in that team. That kind of. I'm trying to remember exactly the period that would have been. That would have been obviously post Seville, round about post Larson. So maybe kind of.
That was a day. It was great to just get people like that in at Celtic, wasn't it?
I know. Aye.
It was good.
But
yeah. Oh, a pal of mine was asking for you. Be Brian Mellon.
Oh, Brian. He used to live. I've not seen Brian for years. He used to live on the estate where he lived just round the corner from me. Yeah, for years. Give him my regards.
I will do. I used to go to coach with you and your brother. He says, God rest him.
Yeah, I know, David. Yeah.
There you go. Small world, mate.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Wow. He's a financial advisor with Brian. He's the best financial advisor I know, but he can't mark a scorecard at golf. He's fucking hopeless at marking a scorecard.
Oh, that's it, because he lived on the golf course.
He does,
Cumbernauld.
Yeah, Cumbernauld.
And he looks after your finances as well. So is he a magician or something?
He's a magician, yeah. He looks after everyone's finances.
But there's a thing as well, if you're watching or listening. Again, a reminder that to us that people are listening and not just watching. If there's anybody you would like us to get on the podcast as a guest, Andy and Frank have been reminiscing about some tremendous names from that period in the early 90s. And if there's anyone you think you'd like to hear from as a guest in the podcast, let us know. And obviously, it's not just a Celtic podcast.
No.
So we've
had loads of Rangers boys.
We've had Rangers on, we've had West Ham, we've had music stars, actors.
Yes.
Martin Compston,
we've had
Ray Winston, Rod Stewart.
Tony Curran. We've had them all on.
We've all on. So it doesn't. So obviously.
You're in good company, Andy.
Frank played for.
I've done well to get on, haven't I?
Yes, in great company.
Frank played for Celtic and West Ham, so clearly that's, most of your teammates are ex-Celtic and West Ham. But if there's anyone in particular that you would like us to go and let us know, and we will see what we can do. Andy, if you could look back in your time at Celtic, one moment, what would be the greatest, would you say?
The greatest moment, it's got to be the goal against Rangers, even though it weren't, because it was the winner, but also, it weren't a particularly great goal. I think a corner got put over, it got flicked on, and I just stuck my leg out, stuck my foot out, obviously, and I volleyed it in. But just the any player that surely plays for Celtic, certainly a striker, must want to get the winner against Rangers. And to be able to do that was just a fantastic memory, you know, and live with me forever, that.
It's funny, every player says that. I mean, I was the same. I was the same. And even the Rangers boys say that about Celtic scoring against Celtic was, you know, just because of the atmosphere and what it means to the city. And it's
well, yeah, what it meant, for the crowd, the city, everything. And
it used to be bragging rights, didn't it? The bragging rights for a few months.
Who would you say, and widening this to be beyond just Celtic, who would you say was the most gifted footballer you ever played with?
I think Paul McStay was beyond belief. I know a lot of people say that, and people down here say, people. I think Paul could have played in any team,
anywhere,
Man United, Liverpool, whatever, any team. People down here, you don't really. They didn't train with him and play with him like I did, and Frank did, obviously. And humble. He helped me so much when I came to the club because he just made me feel welcome. Just a great guy, really, but what a player.
Paul could have went anywhere. He could have went to Real Madrid, Barcelona, and he wouldn't have looked out. He wouldn't have looked out of place at anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's how. But he decided to stay at Celtic.
Yeah, it's quite frustrating when you have the Paul McStay debate with people down south because they are quite dismissive of him. And you always get this point, people say, only Celtic fans say that, but I don't think that's true.
Well, do you know, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about that last week, Andy, and it was talking to Tosh about, and I was saying how I'm so pleased that Henrik went on to do what he did in England and Barcelona because of that dismissive.
Yeah, completely.
And now they can't say that about Henrik because
that's such a good point.
Mean,
that's a really good point. And actually, I even think in the kind of immediate post-Henrik Larsson period, a lot of players might have been prepared to come to Celtic who maybe wouldn't have been, before that,
Yeah, of course.
Aye. But, wow. So, and what about your toughest opponent? Someone that you really hated to come up against?
I think most of the centre-halves back then, I mean, you were looking at Gough and, what's he called?
John Brown and
John Brown,
Palmer.
Yeah. I mean, these lads back then are punching you off the ball. It happened in football. It happened all the time then.
And that's him just knocking you and asking you where you're going tonight.
No VAR or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you knew you were in a battle.
Yeah.
I'd say most of the centre halves. But I mean, I think Gough was really good. Good player. Obviously, hard as nails. Didn't get much change out of him, but. I'd certainly say the majority of the Rangers side, obviously, were all really good, weren't they?
When I was up there the first time, it was Hegarty and Eddie, which were tremendous at Dundee United. Miller, McLeish at Aberdeen. There was some great defenders up here. Very sadly, we're in shortage of at the moment, and we're short of strikers as well. Do you not know anyone that's...
I wish you did.
You talk about Celtic and Scotland.
Scotland, up here, Scotland, yeah.
Aye, Frank, I reckon if you get in the gym, you'd probably be in that back in that Scotland team for the latest.
Go in the gym every morning for a cup of coffee.
Aye, what machine is it you use? Is that the dispenser one with the crisps?
Yeah, that's the one.
Aye.
But listen, it's great to have you up here, Andy, and talking. And
when I looked at my phone yesterday, it said Frank McAvennie. I'm like, whoa! Get in there.
That's fantastic.
You've got the golf course, weren't you? But I'm like thinking, wow, Frank,
They're a shock.
I know.
Not brilliant though, I mean, Frank, you're an household name, pal. But I was lucky enough to play alongside you, and you helped me because you try and take bits off any player, and you could play. I mean, that. Not just holding it up, the physicality, the goals, the headers, just everything, mate. I'm not just saying it because you had it all, pal.
I remember the first time I played with you, I says, right, I think you scored, and I says, let's keep this partnership going because there was that many strikers that were changing it. And
you helped me big time.
Yeah, we did well.
Definitely.
Thanks very
much. There is, but that era, I think we should delve into that era a wee bit. There's one or two names that we've discussed. I would love to get Jerry Craney on, Tommy Coyne as well. There's loads.
I don't know where Tommy is now.
Huh?
It's mad, isn't it? That's what happens, isn't it?
I know.
Players just lose touch and what have you. But that's another good thing, coming on here and getting to speak to Frank. I've not spoke to Jerry Craney since I left the club, I don't think, and vice versa. It's mad, isn't it?
Well, listen, there you go. That's one that personally I'd quite like to. I'd love to get Jerry Craney on. So if anyone's
get
watching,
Jerry on.
if you're a pal of Jerry's and you know where he is, know how to contact him, get him to get in touch with the podcast, because I think
it'd be good.
And it was really what you were saying about him being a 20-year-old. It was just so calm and confident, and I think he got a wee bit of a rough time from the Celtic support a little bit towards his time, Jerry, as well. Jerry Craney, I think he was. Because of the way he was so assured and so confident.
Yeah. You know, and I think the fans didn't like it if he missed a chance, you know, when you're that arrogant. And Jerry was, but he had the right to be arrogant because he was a good player.
Yeah. He had that in him, didn't he? I know what you mean. But he was a tough lad as well, wasn't he? You know, for a young lad, he gets stuck in money and what have you. But a good finisher, great finisher.
But it must have been hard, Simon, because there was all as you said, there's all these strikers there that names.
I know. And a young man's trying to break into it.
He's strolling in as if he owned the place. What's that like?
A lot of massive weight of expectation in young shoulders too. But I think we'll wrap it there.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. That's a great one.
Really, really enjoyed chatting, Sandy. It's absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you, lads. I really enjoyed it.
Watched a lot of you back in the day. And
great to see you, mate. I'll hopefully catch up sooner.
And hopefully your health is okay and you kind of
thank
get
you.
on with things.
I'm sure it'll be all right. And like I say, hopefully it'll get recognised a little bit more for players that are going through similar.
Yeah, completely. Well, it's an incredibly important issue, and it's good to be getting the opportunity to raise it too, and it affects a lot of footballers, and there's a big groundswell of opinion about this, and anything that can be done to make it better.
I've seen it firsthand with Big Billy, Big Billy McNeil as well, because it's horrible. Such a big stature of a man and beating away.
I think the fact is that the fact that it's mostly, the percentage is really high, strikers and centre halves. Says it all really. Because that you just that's what we did. But anyway, hopefully.
Well,
hopefully you're all right. I'll keep in touch with you anyway, Andy. I'll keep in touch with you.
And also, if you find yourself up in Glasgow at any point in the next wee while, come and see us, and we'll do something. Have a player face to face.
Come in and see us. We'll do it.
Brilliant.
We'll sit down in the studio. And love to Victoria, mate.
Okay.
Oh, will do. Thank you. Thanks, lads.
All the best, Andy. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you all again soon for another episode of Let Me Be Frank podcast. Take care. See you later.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.